Wow. The shit hit the fan and everything escalated very, very quickly. But man, this one really ends with a bang and I can't wait for the next one. Hunter x Hunter, episode 51. A brutal battlefield. Holy shit. Whew, boy, is it really hitting the fan quickly. That escalated very, very quickly. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters and hunters and phantom troop members and mafiosos and maybe shadow beasts of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and epically action-filled tale of Hunter x Hunter. Now, our last episode, of course, really wound up leaving us off with Gon and Killua escaping the clutches of Nobunaga. And talking about how they had to go and find Kurapika to learn, obviously, some of the kind of inner workings and I would say tools of the trade or tricks of the trade on how to increase their power and make their nen stronger. Nonetheless, though, the episode left off there, and it actually picks up with Basho and Melody taking Neon Nostrad, Light Nostrad's daughter, the fortune-telling one, to the airport to get her on an airship and get her out of there. So she winds up pulling an okey doke on them in the bathroom because she knows that the auction, her father lied to her, and the auction's actually going on. So she goes into the bathroom and winds up changing in there, putting on a wig, and comes out with another group of girls that were laughing, so she can go off to the auction, right? So she goes and pulls that ninja vanish on them. Then we wind up getting to see some of the assassins that have been gathered by the Mafia to go and take out the Phantom Troop. Now we know Kurapika is also going to be joining up with them, but there's like 7 or 8 other ones as well, I believe 8. And as a matter of fact, we wind up seeing Silva and Zeno, both obviously the higher ups, the two that I would look at as the most dangerous in the Zoldyck family of assassins. So Silva is just kind of this big, hulking, brooding, beast-looking dude. Just sort of looks like a vampire jacked up on steroids, you know. And Zeno is one of those, like, I got the Fu Manchu mustache going, and he just looks like he's some next level shit, you know what I mean? Because he's been in the game for a long time. But anyway, this motley crew of assassins that's put together, basically decides that, hey, listen, we're going to work better alone rather than having shaky teamwork and whatnot. So the 9 of them kind of go off on their own little deal. Light Nostrad, who has apparently risen to power and fame through the fortune tellings of his daughter Neon, and risen very quickly through the ranks by one of these other mafia bosses. He's kind of like ribbing him for he's more or less just jealous of how quickly he's rose up through the ranks. And as Light goes and says, like, jealousy is a terrible emotion to show. It shows how small you are, that type of thing. And the dude goes to grab, he's a shorter guy, and he goes to, like a Danny DeVito looking guy, he goes to grab Light Nostrad, and all of a sudden he's got a switchblade in his throat. And a switchblade, butterfly knife, stiletto, whatever, at his throat. And Kurapika's like, yeah, you're not going to do that. So, and I thought it was a great scene. What we wind up finding out is then, of course, Light Nostrad is in the back of his town car, his limo or whatever, with Kurapika, and heading towards the auction. Kurapika gets a call from Melody and Basho that obviously Neon, the daughter, pulled the okey doke and pulled a disappearing act on him, and she pretty much, or he pretty much assumes that she will be going towards the auction house, as they are as well, and the auction's going to be held in the cemetery building. Anyway. We wind up seeing, too, on the way in that the Mafia controls the police and everything in York New City as they go and direct people where they want to and block off areas that they don't want to and everything else. So it's actually pretty cool to see the level of power that they have. However, if you remember in the last episode, we saw Chrollo Lucifer, the head of the Phantom Troop, getting dressed up. He looked like, and maybe in disguise, suit and tie, and we knew that he had information on Neon and was going after her. So as Light and Kurapika are talking about, how is he even going to, she's not even going to be able to get in there without this pass and everything else, right? Next thing you know, you go and you see a car, and in that car, you've got Chrollo. He's dressed, got a little headband on, he did up his hair nice, got his earrings, then, he's looking nice, right? And the headband, obviously, to cover up that cross, and I'm assuming is like a tattoo or a scar in his head. And Neon is with him, and he winds up, getting her into the place, right? So what he winds up doing is going and having a bite to eat with her, and they're sitting at this kind of candlelit dinner, and she tells his fortune, right? And that's kind of the apex of this whole episode and what makes things escalate quickly. The way she tells fortunes are usually in verses, and each verse usually symbolizes like a week over the course of the next month. The first verse may have already happened, this and that. So as he goes over and over again reading this, it's basically to the effect of, you have a fallen comrade. You'll mourn the loss of a fallen comrade, which is obviously Uvo. And then it'll talk about the months on the calendar gathering. Now, I didn't really put this together, but there's 13 members of the Phantom Troop, and minus the leader, right, Chrollo, you'd have 12, one for each month of the year. So then, talks about basically them gathering, them more or less playing like a symphony of destruction in this case, kind of an old Megadeth song there from, actually from the album Symphony of Destruction, if you want to check out in the early 90s. Very cool stuff. But anyway, it winds up talking about, everything that's going to happen in the future, and that at one point he'll wind up coming out on top, but he's going to lose half of his limbs. So I'm like, okay, what does that mean? You're going to lose an arm and a leg, 2 arms, 2 legs, what the hell? But then you'll find new allies, and there'll be somebody waiting for you in the east. Now, I'm not sure if that's Hisoka, because Hisoka's endgame is to fight Chrollo and take him down, but it's all very cryptic in the way it's told. Nonetheless, Chrollo goes and he starts tearing up at this, obviously for the fallen comrade, for Uvo. They even, as much as heartless killers as they would lead you to believe that they are, these people do care about each other, it seems like, to some degree. I mean, as we saw with Nobunaga in the last episode. But anyway, Chrollo winds up going and getting into the hotel or the area, whatever this building they're going to be holding the auction at, and he pretty much realizes he doesn't need Neon anymore, so he winds up going and actually the way it's played out is it looks like she just falls, and then he goes and he's like, oh, we need an ambulance, we need this, we need that. So they go and they get her out of there. And we wind up finding out, we see the security, from the security tape in the security room, we wind up seeing one of these assassins that was hired by the Mafia, goes and it has him like slow it down to like super frame by frame, and Chrollo is so fast that dude goes and like pulls his hand behind his back, like knife hand chops her in the back of the head. And it didn't even happen. It was so quick that the eye couldn't even catch it, So now this dude's on Chrollo's trail, right? And we find out, obviously, his name is Chrollo Lucifer. Chrollo was the only thing that was mentioned up until this point. But when Neon asked for him to write down his name and everything else, he said his name was Chrollo Lucifer, right? So anyways, we wind up, things they escalate very, very quickly. We wind up getting Light and Estrad and Kurapika go and actually get to, they're called about his daughter and everything else, that she was knocked out, and they go to visit her. And Kurapika's like, listen, you're going to want to go, Basho and Melody are on their way here, you're going to want to get the hell out of here, okay, because the shit's about to hit the fan. And he's like, well, what do you mean? I can get her out of here, but the auction, And Kurapika's like, there's not going to be an auction. This place is going to be a battlefield. And that's when I was like, oh my god, I got the heart bumping. And I was like, oh boy, it's going to be a battlefield. What the hell, These are the things that you don't expect. I expected, after what happened in the last episode, that Kurapika was eventually going to wind up meeting up with Gon and Killua and Leorio, and then it was going to go and progress, and then maybe we'd have another battle in a few episodes. But no, pedal to the metal, man, and expect the unexpected. So anyway, as Chrollo goes through this, he cannot get this out of his head, this whole, fortune telling, and obviously the fortune being true. We wind up seeing down in some area of this building that he was in, this other assassin who saw Chrollo and knew that that's now his prey, winds up going and coming upon him, and he sees this other dude, one of the other assassins, tied up in a chair. As he approaches, Chrollo's like, don't worry, we'll fight straight up. I won't use any, cheap tricks or anything. And as he says that, he goes and he pulls a pen out of the dude's head that he just killed, the other assassin, right? So Assassin A, we'll just call him, because he's a no-name assassin, we know is going to go with Chrollo toe-to-toe, But he winds up going and giving orders to Feitan and everybody else to basically just kind of like bring the noise, man. Symphony of Destruction. Go wild. Just do whatever you got to do. So we see various shots of just everybody going crazy, man. Feitan just taking people out, and what's her name? The other with the one with the big nose but the nice boobs, Pakunoda, and she's taking people out. And we see Machi going and using people like a puppeteer with her strings to go and shoot each other. And we see Franklin going and popping his fingertips open and using his Nen bullets. And I mean, it's just crazy. They're taking out, they're taking out cars and mafia members and cops and everything. And it's just all this destruction. Then, if that's not enough, right, you wind up going back to Chrollo, and you go and you see the dude that he was going to fight is kind of like pinned up against the wall, but he's like missing parts of his head and his body, right? And I mean, this series got dark real quick, okay? Real quick. It's fine. I'm cool. I just don't watch it on a full stomach now. But anyway, because it's kind of gross, man, when you see this dude. So then we go and we find out that his power, or one of his powers, Chrollo's, is that he can use these indoor fish that are basically look like these ghost type of fish, and they can only be used indoors. And what they do is they're flesh-eating carnivorous fish, and they go and they start just eating off pieces of their prey, but their prey stays alive the whole time. Their prey does not die until they're gone, until they're dissipated, until they're gone. So I'm thinking, just a terrible way to go. This dude's missing like half his freaking head, you know? So Chrollo goes and he winds up going and pulling the window down, you know, the window that he's at. He's in this building and opening it up, and he starts kind of like waving his arms out like he's directing the symphony, right? And that's why I keep saying the symphony of destruction, because as he's doing that, the fish dissipate, and this guy just kind of falls down in like a bloody mass of just a part of a body, right? And there's blood stains on the wall and everything else. Very graphic, very gross, very cool actually too to see the animation. Beautiful, just I love it as always. And then again, we go back to just kind of everybody causing this crazy ass just destruction. And you see all of the Phantom Troop members. I mean, he has caught each one of these people is just, they're just crazy strong in the sense of being like a boss or something like that. And he's got them all coming at him. And the only one you don't actually see in action is Hisoka. And I'm thinking maybe that's the one that's going to meet in the east, because Hisoka's just kind of standing back up on a building, kind of like looking down on York New City. And I'm thinking that, I don't know, however it works out, I'm thinking that the end game's going to be him, you know, getting together one-on-one with Chrollo. But man, what an awesome episode, though. Like I said, just seeing everybody go just balls out crazy, man. Just, I mean, you got Fei Tan, and you've got Finks, and you've got Machi, and you've got, I mean, just everybody is just going to town. And, you know, some of them are with each other, other ones are, you're just complete craziness in action. It's just beautiful, beautiful. I had to watch it twice because I liked it that much. So, great episode. And honestly, my episode question for you, brothers and sisters, is now we know that Silva and Zeno are in the game, and Kurapika, and we know that Gon and Killua are going to be as well. So that's 5 pretty astute fighters over there to go against the Phantom Troop. I guess my question for you is, for those of you that are either watching along with me, or for those of you that can kind of like not spoil it ahead, what type of face-offs are you looking at? What type of fights are you looking at? Are you hoping are going to happen? I mean, you hope the Chrollo and Lucifer thing's going to happen, but who would you like to see Gon square off against? Killua square off against? Kurapika, who would you like him to go and square off against in the Phantom Troop next? Put your answers in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next one, Nation. Remember to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and my other channel.